Welcome to Creator Etiquette. Today, we are going to be talking about how to become a prompt wizard and what you need to have in your website to stand out amongst so many creators in this industry. I am your host, Gigi Robinson, and I will be walking you through everything that I know about web design, about being a full-time creator, and yes, even making your dogs into an influencer. But that's a story for another time. Today, I want to get into everything and anything you need to know about using AI in your workflow. And again, using AI to build smart websites so that you can stand out as a creator. Let's get into it. If you're watching the video, you may see my baby dog, Mr. Zeke, on my lap. This little guy does have just under 20,000 followers across his social media platforms. And he does that by just looking so handsome and so cute. He is probably going to have his own media company one day. Isn't that right, buddy? But for now, his mommy, aka me, must get through this episode so that I can take him for a nice long walk. How do you become a prompt wizard in today's creator economy when everybody is using AI in pretty much the same way? They're using it as a generic chatbot. Let's get into it. What makes somebody a great prompt wizard when everybody is using these tools the same way? Most people are still using Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot as a casual Google search thing. They're not using it in ways that actually accelerates their growth. And if you are familiar with my work, you may know that I hit over 118 million impressions on LinkedIn alone last year, thanks to AI. I was training different chatbots and projects on my own voice based on content that I have produced. And then from there, creating a brand guide as the source of truth or the North Star, as you will, to my content. So that anytime the chat was writing about me, it had the context about who I was, what kinds of posts my audience likes, and more. And a year and a half later, I can confidently say there are so many incredible tools. For example, I found this tool recently called Zernio, and you can essentially connect all of your social accounts, and then it's a special API key that you can then plug into other kinds of things that will eventually talk to Claude so that you can create content and it's based off of real API data. So highly recommend you guys check tools like that out. But if you don't want to have everything in one solid hub, you can also do this by using tools like Later. You can do this by using tools like Linktree even has a really cool insights button, and then they also actually have a chat within that you can reference your analytics on your connected channels. So really cool tools, really awesome, very quickly moving in this industry, especially when it comes to how can you use AI to accelerate your content. And it has never been easier to create content and distribute content than it is right now. Like if you are just using it as a chat, honestly, you are behind already, but you're not really that behind. I would say you're acting like a middle schooler here. We want everybody here to act like graduate students. We want you to act like working professionals. We don't want boring Google searches. Right now, forget agentic workflows. Agentic workflows are great if you know what you need, but if you don't know what you need, you can start by working on the complexity and the context that you're providing to your chats, and also coming up with a system so that if one day something better than Claude comes out or something better than whatever you're using now, ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., comes out, that you have the ability and flexibility to go in and use the context you've built within those models and bring it over to another model and still get great outputs. I want that for all of you. So if that's interesting, you guys have to go check out my friend Jim Marsh. He's a mentor of mine. He's been doing a lot of this systemic AI context building for companies. And if you are a creator, if you're a small business owner, if you're an individual, you need to be doing this now because the more you use AI without this, the more complex and more challenging it's going to be to extract your information later since there will be so much of it. Get it? Good. Okay. I also will say I have a PDF space where I'm breaking all of this down. So make sure that you check the link in the comments for that. So what separates a good prompt from a great one? In my opinion, as I just said, it's the context. Why do some people get wildly better outputs from the same AI tool? Ultimately, it comes down to your prompting and also your human nature with it. If you are not course correcting the AI and you're not going through the output and tailoring it to be a specific use case just for you that sounds like your voice, that's not this, it's that. It's not about this, it's about that. That's not know this, just honesty. Like we've heard it, we know you're using AI, boring. I want each and every single one of you to think about your writing style and also prompt AI. Use these specific questions and ask it and prompt AI this way to get a good result. I will link this resource in my PDF space below. For example, hey, I want to create a specific context guide with guardrails that covers my tone of voice, the way that I talk to my audience, and also a bunch of past posts that you can reference to gain clarity and insight into my writing style. From there, I would like to build a specific breakdown about my writing style and my tone of voice so that I can use this across different chats. I want you to be as detailed as possible. And then I also want you to ask me atomic questions so we can get the best output possible. Do that. And then once you go through the questions that it asks you, and based on who you are and based on the context that you give it, it's going to be asking you different questions. Once you do that, you copy and paste the output, then you put it inside of in Claude. I believe it lives in the part where it asks about you. You just put it in there in the description. You can do this in projects by putting in the about this project section. And this is where you can put rules. Now, it is AI. It's going to make mistakes. And ultimately, there will be certain times where you give it rules and guardrails and guidelines. And at the end of the day, it's just not going to get it. And that is, again, the human layer that I need all of you to think about and implement in your content when you're posting it. I use AI all the time. I'm also using tools like Whisperflow to help me capture what I'm doing at a much faster speed and then going through with Claude and going through with my human level self on a Google Doc to actually iterate and curate what I'm trying to say, especially if it's a post or it's writing. Next, how do you preserve your voice with AI as part of your workflow? Well, I think I just answered that pretty carefully, but it comes down to the amount of time that you're going to take, again, as an individual, so that you can proofread. Hello, we've been doing this for years. Just proofread your content, right? Sometimes, yes, it is about the volume of output. And at the same time, I want all of you to think intentionally about that. You don't want to be a part of the AI swap era. You want to be a part of the era where you build something because AI enabled you to accelerate everything you're already building. Obviously, having that prompt guide, and anytime AI gets confused, reminding it about your rules, your guardrails, how you talk, etc. And something else that I have found to be really great, especially using Claude, is going into Cowork and then having it build out specific SOPs. So I actually think there is a very human layer to the prompting, especially when you're using code or Cowork. But I specifically had Cowork integrate to my Slack channels, my Google Drive, my Google Calendar, and then also my project management board. And I asked it to analyze everything each team member was doing and build out specific SOPs so that everybody could reference exactly what I had assigned to them, but also the way that I wanted them to do it, and then the way that they have done it, and then documenting it and putting that inside of our project management board. So ultimately, everything that you definitely could have done by hand was completely automated and built for us just through these integrations. So if you want to take it the next level up, you definitely can, but it does require obviously a max usage plan, which is like over $100, $200 a month. And number two, if you're building out these agentic workloads, I think there's a certain point where you have to stop building and you have to start doing and testing what works for you. I ran into this when I first upgraded and I literally was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I have so much content. There's so many different things. I'm using it for all these things and doing all these integrations and building all these things. And then I was like, this is too much. I literally am so overwhelmed because I have so many things and I don't have a clear path for what is actually automated and what actually works. And so there's a certain level, again, of humanness that I have to do to track and moderate and then iterate on what I have prompted AI to do and then fix it. So you definitely can get into a agent maxing theme here, but I want to issue a fair warning that you should only implement agents if it works for you. And the way that one person is implementing agents is different than the way that other people are going to implement agents. And that is because everybody is an individual. Everyone has their own kind of business, everyone has their own content, and their outputs are all different. There's no one size fits all. So keep that in mind. What elements should every high quality prompt include? As I said, context is most important, and then that human layer. That's it. How do follow-up prompts shape better thinking than the first one? So something that I have personally loved doing is, again, asking questions with specific words. How can you position me as an expert and what context do you need? Ask me follow-up questions or ask me atomic questions or ask me questions that can clarify anything you may have a discrepancy about or confusion about so that we can get the most detail-oriented. Our goal is to have a great output, and without great prompts, you can't have great output. So please be harsh and also help me use critical thinking in order to actually give you a great answer. From there, if you're not getting a good prompt, I don't know what to tell you, but you should be able to get a good prompt. And I highly recommend using the voice dictation button so that you can actually dictate your real human voice and thoughts, and then it can go and add proper punctuation, shorten run on sentences, all of that. So let's shift gears a little. And now that we've got some of my favorite prompting basics down, I want to talk about websites. So right now, you can genuinely build a website with Claude Code, with Claude Cowork. You can build out custom HTML pages that you can use as a live website. The only thing is you then have to figure out how to source and save all the data, make all the links work, blah, blah, blah. And that can be a little complicated. So I still do rely on Squarespace for my website. However, I had Cowork go in and analyze my website to better position me as a public speaker rather than a creator. People already know me as a creator. I don't need to be known as a creator. I already am. I want to be more well known as a public speaker because I am doing a lot more public speaking this year. And that is something that has generated a lot of revenue for me this year. So as I grow and develop myself in that area, I have been focusing a lot on the SEO that comes out when you type in my name and how my name shows up as it pertains to the public speaking world. That said, once I had Cowork look at my website, I had it reanalyzed based on SEO, where I could change, improve, and update copy to better position me as an expert public speaker. I already have the social proof, if I'm being honest. I have over 500 gigabytes, which is half of a terabyte of storage in just public speaking content from the past 6 years in business. That said, do I need to feature all of that? No. So what are the punchiest, best, most impressive moments of my career doing public speaking? That is what I wanted to highlight. And so I had to analyze all of that. And I redid my website, and what normally would have probably taken me hours and hours or days and days to do literally took me like 2 hours on a Saturday morning. So you do have to have the skills and the patience to then go and learn a web design platform like Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress. But if you do that, and if you have all your assets like your videos and your photos ready to go, all that remains is copy. And if you're giving it, again, a source of truth about what you've done, where you've, what speaking engagements you've done, give it a YouTube playlist of speaking engagement, give it your podcast, give it the real stats. If you give it that, it will definitely be able to shape a great view of who you are. And as I said, it took me probably days worth of time in curating that for me. So it's such a powerful tool. And I don't think that we can unlink AI from the personal and professional portfolio space right now. And that's ultimately what a website is. So that said, what are my opinions on LinkedIn bios? I think they're great. For years, I did have a native page built into my Squarespace website that I then used as my LinkedIn bio. But since I've actually switched over to Linktree, it's been really awesome for me to play around with Linktree Pro and have access to their AI tools, their social scheduler, their DM automations, and also even their AI analytics. So I've really enjoyed playing around with that, and will let you guys know what else I'm uncovering with that specific tool. I think it's obviously really awesome too because you can see your click through rate, you can see how many people are clicking links, when they're clicking links, what they're clicking links on. And then as we move into this more live shopping and sales driven creator economy, having those insights in one clear place where maybe you're also selling digital products or want people to subscribe to the newsletter or want people to listen to the podcast, having all of that available to them just in one place is so valuable because not everybody is going to go to my website. Not everybody is going to look through everything there. And I actually do know a lot of people who don't even have a website. All they have is the link in bio, and that is where they make the most income. So you might as well make it easy when you sell to people on the internet. Have everything in one place so that they can just click in and make it easy for them to buy. Something I realized that this did a long time was that you need to prove why somebody should buy your product. No, just sell it to them. Just make it easy for them to buy. Make it easy and give them so much value that it makes it easy for them to buy. Essentially, learn sales. The value of having a website. As you guys know, and as I've been talking about, having a website is something that helps position you. It helps clarify where you need to be when it comes to SEO, when it comes to what you want to be known for and hired for, how you want to make money. It's all related to SEO. And thanks to AI, there are actually a lot of generative ways to not hack, but position yourself with your SEO. You can ask AI to do research in that department. You can then ask AI to analyze a couple of your competitors and see how they are strategizing their SEO. And then from there, you just make the changes. It's not that hard. Having a website is something that is your live portfolio. You can always update, archive, change around, and move anything that you're doing on your website. But having it as one clear thing, saying, hey, my website is tgrobinson.com/speaker if you want to book me for speaking, and then having everything they might need there, it's been a total game changer for me to landing more paid speaking opportunities. What does website communicate that social profiles? As I just said, it helps position you as a leader. It's the package that you give to somebody where if they want to click into other things than the landing page you send them, they absolutely can, but it should be the most outstanding, best case studies. It should be the most polished representation of you and the work that you do so that when you send it out, again, you make it irresistible for people to want to book you. When is the right time for a creator to build a website? Immediately. Like genuinely, the day that you start, you should have a website. If you've worked with brands before, great. If you've never worked with brands before, also great. You have room for improvement. For now, position yourself as a lifestyle creator or whatever kind of creator, and then add as you go. Something that I think a lot of people get so stressed out about is that they think having a website done means that you can't ever edit it. But websites are the most editable thing that you could ever have in your portfolio. Unlike posts on social media, everything on your website, usually you can archive or hide the page or whatever. And then from there, just let it grow. You don't need to have a consistent version of your website that was the same a year ago, that was the same a month ago, that was the same 5 years ago. I've had so many different iterations of my website, and every single one represents me in a different stage of my business. But if I did want to access some of those older archived pages, all I have to do is go back into my Squarespace and look. So I really love that. It's definitely landed me a lot of money, a lot of brand deals, a lot of revenue, and a lot of speaking opportunities and press opportunities. So definitely make one. You can make one using Adobe Express. They have a website maker. You can also use Canva. You can also just go on to Squarespace or Wix or WordPress. Those are just a couple, but there's even more out there that exists today. And if you did want to do it using Claude, you could also build something there. You just have to figure out how to host the website. What are non-negotiables every creator should have? Number one, the homepage should be as crisp, clean, and clear as possible. You want to make it easy for people to understand who you are, what you do, and why they should book you. And they should be able to book you anywhere on any portion of the website. Another thing you should have is a contact me or book now button or page. Having that is great. People can submit to that anywhere, anytime, and you should do it using a form so that you can A, capture their emails, and B, capture their interests and what they want from you. Everything else I think is pretty additional, and as you grow and evolve in your career, you will learn and add and develop different pages for your website. So at one point in time, I had a social media portfolio. At one point in time, I was like, I need to put like stuff about my speaking. Then at one point in time, I was like, I should probably include press. So I have all these different things. I also have an about me page, and in the press page and about me page, I have access to my speaker's bio and my press photos that are approved, that are royalty free, that people can just use in their press articles. Having that available to them is so, so important to me and to them because it makes their life easier. The idea of a website is so that there's this thing called, I think, help me help you help me. So, how can I help the person I want to hire me help me? I make their life easy by giving them a press portfolio and a website that shows A, credibility because I've been in the press, B, a bio, and C, all my press photos so that the only thing they have to do is actually interview me. Everything else is already there. I think websites can do a lot. I think one thing I think websites sometimes should not try to do is oversell. I think having a landing page and having a lot of options on your website for people to buy is great, but if you have options, they better be really compelling and really different than one another because if you have the same but different sold over and over again, you're going to make it harder for people to buy and land that specific sale. So I ultimately think be very intentional about what you're promoting and how you're selling on your website. Okay, now this is an exciting part. I want to share some of my most favorites of my tech stack today. The reason for this is because A, I don't believe in gatekeeping, but B, I think people have this illusion that from the outside you're just posting and that it's really, really easy. But ultimately, even a setup like this podcast setup right now, I have lights in different places. I've got a Riverside recording going. I've got Elgato stuff going. I've got the iPad here, the iPhone there. I've got the Slack channel active. Everything is a production behind the scenes. And that even means the tech stack that I'm working with, aside from the platforms I'm already on, is a big expense. And it is honestly a really cool thing to kind of analyze and realize these are the tools that actually help me run my business and my agency as a one person show. Ultimately, you got to think about your budget, number one. And number two, being smart about what tools actually help you get the result you want. Because there's been times where I've invested in a tool, let's say a year-long subscription or a month-long subscription, 3-month-long subscription, and ultimately the tool doesn't give me what I want. Is that because I'm not using correctly? Or is that because I have another tool that gets the job done? Or if I'm doing it manually as a human, why is my experience working with the tool so much harder? And if you can figure those things out, usually you will be able to make better decisions when it comes to how your money is spent and the tools you're spending money on in your business. So, uh, again, opportunity cost and figuring out at the end of the day, what can the tool do to save you time and make you money? And if you can't answer those two questions, well, you may just be burning for cash. Some of my favorite tools that help me are obviously the entire Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. You guys know I love Adobe. I've been using PDF Spaces more and more in my business along with other features in the Adobe Acrobat Suite. I'm absolutely obsessed. I know I sound like a talking head just talking about this product that I love, but I'm telling you, using Adobe Acrobat has changed the way that I work with my team and the way that I'm able to share event materials when I am public speaking. I can have this interactive AI space for all different kinds of people who are in the audience and who I am presenting to. And that's pretty cool. Not only because Adobe Acrobat has a really safe and secure model that does not train on anyone's ideas, which means the model is not using your information and your data to get smarter. It's simply a thought partner. And that's pretty cool. And unlike a lot of other AI tools. So make sure you guys go check out Adobe Acrobat today. Other products I love, as I mentioned before, Claude, Slack, Cowork, um, ClickUp has been great. Riverside's great. Whisperflow is great. Google Suite is great. I mean, I could go on and on. The Microsoft Suite is great. I use all these things for different things, and I have been gifted a lot of subscriptions from brands before. So I think that is really, really awesome that I've gotten to a point in my career where the tech brands that I work with include the subscription in my contract so that I have access and I can authentically use it. A lot of you know that I believe in working with brands that I already know and love. So being at a point in my career and also being at a point in the creator economy where brands are willing to give you whether that's a 3 month, a 3 month, 6 months, 1 year, unlimited usage to their app in exchange for working with them. I think it's a really cool point to be in. And I definitely have gotten a lot of products in my tech stack, either through a affiliate creator program or through a actual paid partnership. So that's just something to think about as the creator economy evolves and you think about how much your tech stack costs. And in the next video, I can actually break down my tech stack if you're interested. So stay tuned. To wrap it up, what tasks should creators never fully outsource to AI? I think something a lot of creators may start getting wrong about AI is that they're just using it to regurgitate thoughts that they already have when instead they should be using it as a thought partner, a thinking partner. For example, having AI prompt you more specific questions to get you to voice note it back a really juicy prompt. I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, but I have seen creators get into online battles with one another when they have asked AI questions and then they get an output that maybe is a little bit sloppy or similar to another creator, and then they get upset that somebody else is using the same output that they asked. And to that, I say you need to be a lot more specific in your output so that you can use it in your voice and then also use the AI output in your content in a way that is unique to you and only you. The last thing I want to leave with you guys today is this question that I love, which is what skills will matter more in 5 years than tools today? And I think it's ultimately got to come down to attention to detail and ambition. And look, I know not everybody has an ambitious personality, but ultimately, if you are always willing to put yourself out there and chase what you want and ask for what you want from a curious lens and you're hardworking, that is going to take you farther than any AI tool ever will, because even if the tech bubble pops and the AI tools become obsolete or it just becomes the new norm, there's going to be a next thing. And if you're an ambitious person, you're usually curious about what's coming next, which means you'll always be on top of what actually is next. So that is my hot tip of the day. To end today's episode, I actually wanted to talk about creator calls. So we're rebranding a little from Creator Hotline to Creator Calls. I just think it's more fun, and eventually I will actually have a way for all of you to call in while I'm recording so that I am able to answer your questions live here on the show and get your actual voices in. But for now, we are scraping through my comments, DMs, and Reddit community for a lot of these creator call shoutouts of the week. So stay tuned for more of those. This week's creator call is from Madison, my personal trainer, actually. I had mentioned in a video that I was using Claude Code and Claude Cowork in my workflow, and she said, OMG, I've been interested in Claude. I need to hear about your experience. Here is the thing. Buy the pro subscription and test it out. I want you to get it and then max out on the pro subscription every single week, doing everything I talked about in this episode, start to finish with prompting. And if you still aren't hooked and you don't have the bug after listening to this episode or playing with it for a week, then maybe AI is not for you. But there are so many crazy cool ways that people are using it it can be very daunting to also scroll on social media and see something that somebody's made about these tools, and then you save it to a folder and then you forget about it and you never work with it. I think when you see something, immediately screenshotting it, copying it, messaging Claude, hey, I saw this thing on Instagram. I want to implement this into my workflow, blah, 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 blah. Figuring out what works for you. And again, creating that source of truth is ultimately going to help you get better outputs. And last but not least, I actually got this really cool creator call message in our community on Reddit. It says, how do creators keep track of brand deals and payments? So they said, something I've been noticing while spending time in creator communities that a lot of creators seem organized when it comes to content, posting schedules, their analytics, engagements, and brand collabs. But the business side of brand deals feels surprisingly informal. A collaboration could get agreed to in DMs or on an email, it's deliverable sent, and then payments arrive weeks or months later. When someone starts working with multiple brands, it probably becomes harder to keep track of things like what brands have paid, which payments are still pending, and which deals need a follow up. So, how do creators usually keep track of brand deals? I love that question, and that is going to be the subject of a next episode. So, stay tuned. If you want to hear more about professional development in the creator economy, keep following. As always, I'm your host, Gigi Robinson. This has been so much fun. I love and appreciate every single one of you and cannot wait to hear and see what you're doing next. Tag us in your prompts. And as always, tune in for next week. Bye, guys.